Hello everyone, I'm Victoria and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about reporting verbs. In one of my previous videos, I explained in general what reported speech is. I talked about statements, questions, and reporting commands, offers, and requests. Today we're going to delve into more advanced grammar and we're going to talk about different patterns and reporting verbs. But if you haven't watched the previous video, I highly recommend checking the link in this video description so that you have a clear understanding of what reported speech is and when we have to backshift and when we don't backshift. Okay, so let's dive in and let me explain you what patterns exist in reported speech. Okay, first of all, you should remember there are a few patterns in a reported speech that we have to follow. We can use reporting verbs and that clause. We can use reporting verbs and a gerund. We can use reporting verbs and to infinitive. We can use just reporting verbs. Sometimes we can insert or use an object between the reporting verbs and the structure. Sometimes it's obligatory, sometimes it's optional. So let's talk about each of these patterns separately. And we will start with the reporting verbs and that clause. So right now, you can see a long list of the verbs and you might wonder if you should memorize all of them. Well, in fact, usually these are typical structures that everyone uses quite intuitively, but it's nice to have those verbs in case you don't remember or you have some doubts, and so that's why I decided to list all of them. Some of them, as you can see, are marked with an asterisk sign, this kind of star-like sign. And that means that after those verbs, we tend not to omit that. Okay? So even though if in speech people sometimes omit, it's not recommended. And if you are planning on sitting an exam, it would be nice to remember that you should keep that word in those sentences. Okay, well, some of these verbs can be followed by an infinitive or a gerund also, and some of them can be followed by the subjunctive, and I'll explain what the subjunctive is later on in this video. So watch it till the end to find out what the subjunctive form is. Let me show how we can use those verbs in sentences. The evidence clearly supports my point, he said. We can report this sentence using the verb to argue. He argued that the evidence clearly supported his point. Well, yeah, you can simply say he said that the evidence clearly supported his point, but to argue would sound more advanced, and probably you would like to add this verb in your sentence. To declare, we will achieve victory, she told. She declared that they would achieve victory, or you can omit that. To reply, I will have the report ready by tomorrow, she said. She replied that she would have the report ready by the next day. And here you can see that I'm not using parentheses, so for that word, that's because we cannot omit it here. It's not recommended. And to shout, watch out for the car, he told. He shouted that we should watch out for the car. Okay? So these are some examples from this list which I presented. But let's look at some of them that can have a different structure. Let's look at the admit verb. As you can see, we can use that clause, but not only. Yes, I took the money, he said. He admitted that he had taken the money. That's one option. But sometimes people tend to use gerund after admit. He admitted taking the money, or he admitted to taking the money. You can use also perfect gerund here. He admitted having taken the money, or he admitted to having taken the money. So as you can see, there are two patterns, and that's what I mentioned before. Some of those verbs can be used in different patterns in reported speech, and that's what you should remember when you report sentences. Okay, now let's talk about reporting verbs plus object plus that clause. You remember there is an option that we can add object in between reporting verbs and that clause. These verbs are advise, assure, inform, reassure, remind, tell, warn. So the point is that object is necessary, is essential, and is obligatory here. We cannot omit it. So you should use a person here, right? And then that clause. But other structures, again, are possible with some verbs. And as you can see, advise is one of them. And I'm going to show you what I mean. Let's look at these samples. She advised me to see a doctor. You can see she advised me, yes, a subject, to see a doctor. So that's infinitive here. The doctor advised against drinking too much coffee. Here you can see advised with a preposition against and then a gerund form, which is logical because we usually use gerund after prepositions. And finally, you can see they advised that he takes some time off, or she advised that we stay indoors. This is subjunctive, the subjunctive form. And I'll talk a little bit more in detail about this form later, but I just wanted to show that after some verbs, we can use a variety of patterns, and that's what makes this specific topic a little bit more complex. Now let's talk about reporting verbs plus gerund. As you remember, this was the second pattern in my first introductory slide, so you can see that reporting verb plus gerund is one possibility that we can use as well. So here is a list of those verbs after which we can use and we shall use a gerund form, which is ing form. Among those verbs which I mentioned before, such as admit, admit to can be used with to and then a gerund form, apologize for, boast about, decide on, deny, mention, propose, recommend, regret, report, suggest. Well, as you can see, some of them contain prepositions and some of them are just simply verb forms. However, you should know that this is the list. And let's look at some examples.
I am sorry for being late.
She apologized for being late.
I shouldn't have said that.
He regretted saying that or having said that. As you can see here, after those verbs, we simply use ing form. However, you should remember that sometimes we can add an object between the reporting verb and a preposition, right? And then will be used the gerund form. So let's have a look at some of these examples. Accuse somebody of something, blame somebody for something, congratulate somebody on something in British English and for in American English, praise somebody for, reassure somebody of, thank somebody for. This one is good also for remembering the prepositions. So you just learn the correct preposition which should be used after a particular verb. And let's have a look at some examples.
You did an excellent job on your presentation.
The manager praised her for doing an excellent job on her presentation, or the manager praised her for having done an excellent job on her presentation.
You lied to me.
She accused him of having lied or lying to her. As you can see, it's not complicated. It's just something that you should remember. Use an object after these reporting verbs and then preposition and a gerund form. Reporting verbs plus to infinitive. Let's talk about this pattern. Here you can find a list of those verbs after which we use an infinitive. Agree, claim, demand, guarantee, offer, promise, propose, refuse, swear, threaten, volunteer, and vow. Let me show you a few examples. I finished the report all by myself. She claimed to have finished the report all by herself. You can use here the pattern claim plus infinitive, and here in this case it's perfect infinitive, yes, to show that it happened before she claimed it. I can help decorate the hall for the event. He volunteered to help decorate the hall for the event. Sometimes you remember that we can use an object between the structures as it was before, explained in other patterns, and you can see a long list of those verbs after which we should use an object before the infinitive. Let's have a look at some examples.
I bet you can't finish this puzzle in under 5 minutes.
He challenged me to finish the puzzle in under 5 minutes.
You are not allowed to speak during the ceremony.
She forbade us to speak during this ceremony. So, and there is another list where object is not obligatory, it's optional between a reporting verb and to infinitive. These are ask, beg, expect, want. So here we can see she begged me to help solve that problem. Or you can simply say she begged to help solve that problem. So object here is optional. And finally, I'm going to talk about reporting verbs only. Remember that sometimes we can use only reporting verbs and that's enough because they bear the meaning of the sentence. Let's have a look at those. These verbs are agree, apologize, refuse, the most often used. For example,
yes, I will do it.
He agreed.
I am sorry.
He apologized. And when you hear it, that's quite enough to understand what the speaker said. Okay, once we covered those 4 major patterns, let's move on and talk about real-life conversations because these are more complex and sometimes we have to combine different patterns. In real life, we use mixed variations of sentences. We can use exclamations, we can suggest doing something, we can criticize and comment on something. So there is this variety of emotions and patterns can be also mixed. So when you hear somebody saying, "Oh, what an amazing evening, why don't we stay a tad longer?" How would you rephrase it, or how would you report this phrase? So you could do something like this. She exclaimed that it was an amazing evening and suggested staying a bit longer. So in this case, you can see that I'm using a conjunction and to combine those 2 sentences, to connect them. And also I'm using 2 different reporting verbs and different structures, exclaimed that clause and suggested gerund form. When it comes to exclamations, we do not use them in reported speech. We omit and replace them by reporting verbs such as exclaim, give an exclamation of, and then you use the emotion or a feeling that you want to, horror, frustration, happiness, admiration. such verbs as warn, wish, call, or collocations express happiness or express sadness or doubts can be also used. Let's have a look at this example. "Oh, I can't believe I forgot my keys again," she said. She gave an exclamation of frustration, finding out she had forgotten her keys again. So that's one of the examples how you can report this sentence. Well, sometimes people use question tags. And what shall we do with question tags? Well, we don't use them in reported speech. Instead, we can use some reporting verbs, such as wonder if, whether, want to know, be interested, remind, etc. Let me show you an example. You've been to Italy twice, haven't you? He wondered if I had been to Italy twice. Remember that previously I mentioned subjunctive forms, and let me show you what the subjunctive form is. The subjunctive form is the same as the infinitive without to. It's a formal structure, and it's quite widely used in formal language. They insisted that she postponed the meeting. Look at this sentence, she postponed. Some people might mistakenly identify this sentence as a mistake because apparently it should be present simple or even past simple if we backshift, right? But here we have no endings. And the reason why is because this is the subjunctive form, okay? We require that all applications be submitted by May 15. Here we can see again, all applications be submitted. This is an infinitive, passive infinitive form, as you can see, and it's not a mistake here, it is a subjunctive form. So the subjunctive form is used after some verbs, and you can see advise, demand, insist, propose, recommend, require, request, suggest, and sometimes after phrases such as it is vital, it is advisable, it is important, essential, preferable, urgent, necessary, and somebody is willing, etc. So after those adjectives and verbs, we can use these subjunctive forms. I'm not saying we cannot use some other forms, but I'm just saying that this is a formal structure which exists and you should be aware of that. Let me show you more examples with the subjunctive form. We require that all applications be submitted by May 15. It is essential that all applications be submitted by May 15. We require that all applications should be submitted by May 15. As you can see, the subjunctive forms can be used in passive structures. They can be used with the modal verb should and just bare infinitive. That's all for today. I hope you learned a lot. And I know it's a lot of information and mostly theoretical materials, but I prepared for you PDFs that you can download, and you can find links in this video descriptions. So you can download, do some exercises, practice, and then you can find the answer key. I hope it will help you to master this topic and to understand it better. Should you have any questions, you can ask me and you can post it in comments. And if you like the video, please subscribe, like it, and share with your friends. See you in my next videos. Bye bye.